Hey there, Seb for the Realtor here. Hey, did you hear that Clint Eastwood's old home in Carmel just sold for $18.5 million and that the listing agent double-ended the deal and got an $800,000 commission? If you're wondering how is it possible that a realtor could be worth $800,000 to sell just one home, you definitely want to watch this video. Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago or so now, Clint Eastwood's old home in Carmel, Las Ondas is what it's called. That means the waves. It just sold, and it's been much in the news, at least the news that I read anyway, those industry rags, about how the listing agent double-ended the deal and got paid $800,000. Now, very interesting. The sale price was reported at $18.5 million. And on top of that, he got a commission of $800,000, or so they say. I don't know where that number came from. I guess the journalist called him up and asked, how much did you make on the deal? Because it's not reported on the multiple listing service. In the olden days, we would have just called that a $19.3 million sale, and out of that would have come a commission paid to the listing agent and the buyer's agent, if there had been one, but there wasn't. It was double-ended by the agent. But nowadays, since the commissions are broken out more cleanly, and because, of course, it was a cash sale, what they did is they just reported a lower sale price, I'm sure for purposes of taxation and property transfer taxes and all that good stuff, with a separate $800,000 fee getting paid to the listing agent. And a lot of people are saying, gee, well, $800,000, what exactly did he do to earn $800,000 on one little sale? Well, you know what? I went and I looked and I saw, like how long that property was on market and how long the escrow was. And it was actually only on the market for 10 days. It was on the market for 10 days. And then it had a 15-day escrow. So for 25 days worth of work, this realtor got paid $800,000. Now, of course, it wasn't 25 days of full-time work, right? The guy wasn't working, night and day for 25 days. Let's just say he was working half days, right? So all of those 25 days, he worked half a day. That's 4 hours a day, let's just say. So that's 100 hours. So for 100 hours, the realtor got $800,000, and that breaks down to $8,000 an hour, which is more than most anybody would get paid to do anything, right? More than a doctor or a lawyer, right? Or some kind of highly regarded scientist, maybe, right? That's a lot of money for a humble realtor to make on a sale. So why would this realtor be paid so much and be paid by people, right? Multimillionaires who I'm sure are very, very savvy people who probably didn't get where they are in life by just burning money and throwing it away. Why is it that realtor was able to collect from these two very wealthy people such a princely sum of money? That makes me recall the old parable, or is it a joke, or I don't know what it is, about the ship owner. He had a ship, and the engine wouldn't turn on. He just couldn't get it to go, and it was very important. He had a load of very valuable cargo that he had to move across the ocean, but he just couldn't get the ship started. And he called person after person, technician and engineer and mechanic, brought them all down to the ship, and nobody could figure out why the ship's engine wouldn't start, right? But he had this urgent need. He needed to get that ship moving and get that cargo, on the ocean on the way to its destination. And so he found a guy who had been doing ship repair for 50 years. He had a lot of experience doing ship repairs. And so he brought that guy over, and the old guy goes down there into the bowels of the ship in the engine room, and he's looking around, and he spends about half hour, 45 minutes just with his flashlight, just checking out the various parts of the system. And then after about half hour, 45 minutes, he reaches into his bag and he pulls out a little hammer, and he goes onto a part of the engine and he just taps it with his hammer. And as soon as he taps it with the hammer, boom! The engine roars to life, and everyone is like, yeah, thank God you got the engine going. And so the guy says, no problem, goes away, and then he sends an invoice to the company and says, that'll be $10,000, please. And then the company was like, what, $10,000? All you did was you just hit your little hammer on like a part of the engine, right? That's not worth $10,000. And so please send us an itemized invoice. And so he sends an itemized invoice back, and it says, tapping with my hammer on the engine, that's $2. Knowing where to tap, $9,998, right? Because, there's a question of, how much, skill and knowledge do you bring to the job rather than actually like, turning the screw or like pushing the button or whatever it does that actually makes the whole project go. Because really, it's not about how much time that realtor spent on the transaction. And by the way, I suspect it was a lot more than just 100 hours, but I really have no idea. It really is how much value he brought to the transaction for the time that he spent. And I got another interesting parable for you. It's the parable of the person who had a terrible, horrible, painful toothache. And so this person goes to where? A dentist goes to the dentist and says, oh, I have a horrible, painful toothache. Can you please help me? And so the dentist opens his mouth, looks inside, and goes, oh my God, you've got a rotten tooth. We got to pull it out right away. And the guy says, yes, of course, of course. And so do anything. I got to get this pain gone. And so the dentist goes in there and he reaches in with his tooth extractor or whatever it is, and he pulls it out. The whole thing took a minute. And so after the guy is like, going to the front desk to pay his bill, he gets a bill and it's $1,000. And the patient goes, what? You charged me $1,000 for 1 minute's worth of work? And the dentist turns around and he says, well, if you like, we could have spent an hour doing it. How about that? Who would want to spend an hour getting a tooth extracted when you could have the same result in 1 minute and have it be much less arduous and terrible of a situation, but you get the same result? Obviously, there is no correlation between time and value in that case. And that is the case with a real estate agent when you are going to buy or sell a house. It really isn't how much time they may have spent on the project, although I think in many cases it is much more time than anybody really thinks it actually takes. It's not about that, though. It's about how much value that realtor brings to the transaction. I don't know what this realtor did to earn $800,000, but I think it probably had a lot to do with like getting the property ready for sale, figuring out which improvements to make, researching liens and encumbrances and entitlements and, who knows what other special circumstances that this property had. And I'll bet you there were probably quite a few, working on the marketing, bringing in that one buyer who's actually willing to pay that high of a price in that short of a time frame after only 10 days. I mean, what would you rather? Would you rather spend 100 days or 3 years trying to sell a property like that? Or would you rather have it done quickly in 10 days with a 15-day escrow? Maybe, just maybe, it was worth that much money to the seller to get that done quickly, easily, and effectively at a price that the seller was happy to pay. And that realtor provided a really great service to that seller. Maybe he needed to have that money out right away, and that listing agent priced it well, marketed it well, prepared it well, and did everything exactly right so that the seller was able to get that transaction done and move on to whatever else he needed to do with that money. So probably, I'm guessing that listing agent who also repped the buyer probably earned every penny of that $800,000 because that's what it was worth to both the buyer and the seller, who I am sure were very, very savvy individuals and know a thing or two about the value of money. All right, well, that is all I have for this video. I hope you did enjoy it. And if you did enjoy it, I'm guessing, just a guess, that you might also enjoy some of these videos over here. These are some of the most popular videos here on my YouTube channel, so please do take a look. All right, that's all I have for this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and please stay tuned.